meteorologist Chase Jones.
Well, quite the different picture from yesterday. We saw some of that cloud cover push out this morning. Then as the afternoon heating kicked off, we started to see stronger convection from the south. And then we're tracking some of that light thunderstorm activity off towards the west near Mertz. And now as we make our way into this evening, we're going to continue to watch where some of that thunderstorm activity will pop off mostly to the north. Watching how we dropped all the way down to 61 last night. Then we held strong. Then we made a good 20-degree run up into those mid-80s. And right now we're leveling out at 85 degrees. Everybody else very close together across the entire region. 85 in San Angelo. Everybody else in a combination of those mid to lower 80s, those upper 70s. But take a good look outside, seeing those colder areas near Coleman, 76, 86 down there in Sonora. There is our 10 degrees, but we're watching some of that moisture push in, and not in the direction that we want either. It's from the northeast down to the southwest. Usually we want it from the northwest down to the southeast. 85 down there in Junction. When we take you into the humidity indices, they are going through the roof in the 50s and the 60s, while the humidity indices are anywhere from those 60s all the way down into those 40s. But you can tell where some of that thunderstorm activity will continue to pop off as you see some of those higher humidity values to the north. Now, when we look at the upper level pattern, we're tracking a very interesting development. Now, we're watching this long wave trough. Right behind it, we're watching a cutoff low. And then right behind me, we're actually keeping our eye on a circulation in the Gulf. We're going to see three circulations, one off the west coast, one over the Four Corners, and one down in the Gulf. It's going to be some pretty interesting weather. When we look at the water vapor imagery, we're watching it all push up at the same time in the same direction from the west coast to the Four Corners, all across Texas and into the Gulf Coast region. This is going to be a very powerful storm. As it makes its way in, it could drop us all the way down into the 60s. When we take you into the moisture tracker, we're going to watch the resurgence of all this blue. Usually it's very narrow in nature. Take a good look. It will encompass the entire Mississippi River Valley. It is stateswide all the way up into Michigan, and right behind it, some very cold weather. And over into the Gulf Coast near San Juan and Haiti, there's our concentration of yellow that will find its way up this blue avenue. When we take you into the severe weather outlook, it is encompassing the entire state of Texas, really targeting areas where Haley's neighborhood is at, and then of course around the Big Bend, but the entire Concho Valley. When we look at the precipitation for November, we're really just following that cutoff low. You can sort of see how it follows the long wave pattern. And then we look at temperatures, that's all that high pressure. Now we are in a bit of above normal average temperatures, and you saw October, so hopefully we're not on the same trajectory. When we look down at the tropics, we are watching this area disturbance number one, 70% chance of formation over the weekend. While we look off towards the east, we see another one, disturbance number two, with about a 50% chance of formation in the next 7 days. When we look at the sea surface temperatures, Stephen and I have really been keeping our eye on the whole circulation, which could form into something much stronger as we keep our eye on these sea surface temperatures. When we take you up to the United States, we're still just tracking the entire system. Look how strong those winds are pushing against Northern California. Those fires are definitely out. But when we look down at the Concho Valley, we really have our eye on Friday night football conditions. Now we take you into the radar because we are tracking some of those storms off just the west of Mertz, but when we look at the futurecast, you get a good idea of where they're going to make their way in from the south. This is kickoff conditions. Pick your area. Let me know where you're seeing some of that thunderstorm activity and that cloud cover as we make our way into this weekend. Keep your eye to the northwest. Pretty powerful storm going to make its way in. Now it only takes us out to about Sunday, and we really have our eye near Ozona as we make our way into Sunday, but the cloud cover will stick around. So tonight back down into those 60s, having our eye out for some of that thunderstorm activity. Roads will fill up quickly because it has been very dry. Then tomorrow up into those lower 80s, still on the lookout for some of that thunderstorm activity. So let's make sure we're practicing a lot of that severe weather safety. Take your time so first responders can get to those emergencies. As we make our way into the weekend, we lose that hour or gain that hour depending on who you are. Then of course we begin that first week. We see that voting day there on the 5th, and then of course we're dropping 10 degrees. We fight back and forth. We hold on to the rain. Here comes that cutoff low, while those overnight lows drop all the way down into those lower 40s. Stay tuned. While more for the break, you're watching KSAN News at 5.